It is time to stop looking like a bum and start looking like a proper ranger by earning my very own ivy etched armor. No special background story or even a special introduction is given. To get the ivy etched armor, we just walk in and ask Gandari over here, and she is, yeah, I can do the armor piece for you, just bring me some items, dude. If the paladins can get some background with their armor, why not the rangers? At least she gave us a small poem, if you can call it that, with each piece. So let us get started with the bracers. I do not haggle, I do not bargain. The bottom of the rune of ivy from the plains of Everfrost, a water ring from the cauldron of tears, and a fire emerald to warm my heart. Bring these to me and you shall earn your reward. Okay, I'll be starting with the bracers, because I already saw the enemies that I have to kill, and I know that they are way below my level. But first, a quick stop in Kinos because several pieces of the armor will require some gems. 2 rubies, 1 sapphire, 1 fire emerald, and 2 star rubies. And, unfortunately, buying all of them cost me 634 plat. I am poor now. With this gem sorted, I head my way to Everfrost and to the first room. In the ancient ruins that lie among the snow hills of Everfrost, we can find the orc shadow knight named Redwind, and in his possession the rune of ivy. Well, 70% of the time at least. At level 27, he is a real challenge to me. And you have to love the spell harmony pacifying all the orcs at once. Fighting the orc alone with his pet isn't very challenging, but be careful because he does harm touch for almost 300 damage. I didn't get the rune on my first try, so I had to wait for a respawn of more than 10 minutes to get the item on my second try. The tip for the second item is a Cauldron of Tears, which must be Diagnos Cauldron, a zone that is filled with my tears from whenever I have to set foot in the zone. In Diagnos Cauldron we have to get a Water Ring, which is a 2 AC ring for mages only, from a Aqua Goblin Tidal Lord level 24 monster, and the drop rate for the item is 50%. I thank Karana for tracking, so I could rush to one of these goblins, and after 2 kills I got the ring and left the zone immediately. With the rune, the ring, and the fire emerald in hand, I returned to Gandari for my reward, the Etched Bracer. With 9 AC, 2 dex, and some resistance, it is a nice upgrade over my Pine Scout Bracer, that I still have on me for 40 levels. But I also realized that all the items I got here were lore, which means that if I wanted 2 bracers, I would need to do this whole journey twice. Come on game, that is just unnecessary. Thankfully, I already have the bracer scavenger on the other arm. Next, I'm going for the sleeves. I do not haggle, I do not bargain. A heart of fire from the caverns of Solosec, the left side of the rune of ivy from the griffin green feather, and 2 star rubies of sparkling hue. Bring this to me, and you shall earn your reward. Green Feather is a named griffin that roams North Corona. I actually ran past him a couple times while leveling up. He wasn't up, so I had to kill some placeholders, which includes will-o-wisps and hill giants. And eventually, the level 37 griffin appeared. And griffins are animals, so guess who was fury kited into oblivion? Green Feather's rune is a guaranteed drop, and now it is mine. Mammoths. And why are you in values? Your confusion is understandable. Ranger invisibility comes from the spell Camouflage, which only works outdoors, and the next target is inside a dungeon. Superior Camouflage, the next step of the spell, works indoors as well, so I made an executive decision of getting an extra level. Eastern Ways proved to be an excellent place to grind this level. Plenty of animals to fear kite, and they don't social with each other. The giants are only threatening, give you plenty of time to step back, and only a few enemies are killed on sight. Now at level 49, and with a new set of spells, I head back to Soluce Eye after the Heart of Fire. I haven't been indoors a whole lot since Black Burrow, and that is more than 30 levels ago. And I am greeted with wizards that can see through this. They aren't all that hard, but for green cones they can put a dent on your resources, especially when ads keep coming. The worst part is that I haven't trouble re-upping my invisibility, because the new spells fizzle for like 10 times in a row. The zone is a real labyrinth, and I have some trouble finding my way. Fighting some unnecessary fights here and there. Unnecessary because the Heart of Fire drops only from a specific mob of the zone, the Infernal Goblin Wizard. He isn't a rare name, but is rather uncommon, can only spawn in certain places, and all of those places are shared with other mobs. At first, I tried to set up camp in a small room overlooking the gate. It was where the path of one of the spawn points ended, and it was quiet for the most part, allowing me to sit and meditate. The Infernal Goblin even spawned once for me, but it didn't have the item, the drop rate of which is 50%. With the chance of the wizard spawning being of 13% on a cooldown of 8 minutes, I was ready for a long camp. Now, what if I told you that that is a better spot? The Infernal Wizard also shares a spawn point with the Goblin Bartender. I really like the bar inside the dungeon, by the way, kinda cozy. And at this spawn point, the chance for the wizard to appear is 25%. But wait, there is more. If you walk all the way to the corner in the back of the room, nothing aggroes on you. Not even the bartender. You can sit there and meditate and alt-tab. Nothing sees you there. You can just set up a timer and kill your goblin every 8 minutes and go back to do something else. I know because I did exactly that until I got the Heart of Fire. To escape, I fortunately got my superior camouflage to work. By the way, my skill was of 162 at the time. But those wizards that can see through this, man, they can be really annoying. There was a point that I just ran away to the zone line. Next, we return to Kitty Core and deliver the heart, the rune, and the 2-star rubies to Gandari and receive our 5 etched sleeves. An upgrade over our non-magical sleeves, 2 ones with 10 AC and plus 4 in strength. Now, let's go for the tunic. I do not haggle, I do not bargain. The School of Meldrath, the right side of the Rune of Ivy from the Thistle Brownie, and 2 rubies of fire red. Bring these to me, and you shall earn your reward. The School of Meldrath. Meldreth is a necromancer gnome that lives in the caverns in the gnome's homeland of Steam Fountain Mountains, where he seems to have a deal with, or taking control of the minotaurs in the cave. Seeing that he is only level 35, I just went inside, guns blazing, ready to massacre the poor caster. But, whoa, overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer, my friend. Even I thought I was blazing through the game. Yet, Everquest is a cruel mistress, and it is here to remind us of her place in North. Everything went wrong. His guards all spooled, and the necromans hit way harder than I thought. I honestly didn't even understand what was going on at the time, and why I was taking so much damage. I died and learned that when you do level, you lose access to your new spells. Ouch. I tried again, and I still managed to screw things up. I wanted to use Harmony on the gods, and instead I managed to body pull them. Oops. Change of plans. Now let me try to lead Meldreth to the zone line, root him there, and zone out to drop the aggro on the Minotaurs. I have to point out how messy the situation really was. Yes, I did intend to do this pull, but also, my shorter buffs were already running out. Things weren't looking good. To help me, something happened to Minotaurs while following me, because both died outside of my field of view. I only saw the reputation hit on my chat, but Meldreth himself still followed me. I used Spirit of the Wolf and Snare to kite him away from his pet and kill it. And then I fought the Necromancer. I was dealing some good damage, but his life taps made sure that I was losing the damage race. I had to run away mid-fight to heal and meditate some mana back. My situation was dire, my buffs were running out, but I noticed that at least he wasn't casting anymore. I guess that even a necromancer has to run out of mana at some point. And after some stepping back to heal myself, I won and got his skull too. For the rune, we need to hunt down Thistle Underbrush. And oh boy, this is the bottleneck of the armor quest. There is no other way to put it without using foul language. The information line about him is all over the place, which only added to my sense of not progressing on the search for Thistle. I am very thankful that PQDI exists, even if I was starting to doubt its information after I spent 6 hours looking for this tiny freak of nature. Do not kill fairies, pixies, or other fake creatures. They are not a placeholder for Underbrush, even if the internet says so. I only kill wasps, orc centurions, and skeletons, and only those that roam around. If anything else spawns, just leave it alone because it will be one less spawn point for you to worry about. And with a respawn rate of 6 minutes, you have plenty of time to wonder if you're doing it right or not. I know because I did have an existential crisis in Last of Fate Dark, and I think many would have given up. I killed so many placeholders without finding Thistle that I even went to the Discord to see if anyone had ever discussed it. And I found a random message saying that they had a suspicion that the named enemies in Last of Fate Dark were on a rotation. As in only one can be up at a given time. Could it be? I thought to myself. Well, Princess Julina was up, and after dispatching it, bam! Bracken Underbrush appeared immediately. No! Come on, game, that's the wrong Underbrush. And this one is the one that is even more hair, at 2%. Okay, I kept grinding until... Bracken again? Game? Are you mocking me? I returned to the grind with no results, until I noticed that Princess Julina was up again. and I don't even know if it matters or not. I killed her again, and in the next rotation, Thistle and the brush spawn. Finally. At my level, he is a trivial kill, and thankfully, the rune is a 100% drop. And I confess that at times my resolve was faltering. It is very disheartening to keep doing the same thing with no indication that what you're doing is working or not. When it is a static spawn point, you know that it's just a matter of chance, and eventually your target will appear. But those rare mobs with only a single placeholder in the middle of other identical enemies, it is just cruel. But I endured and was rewarded for it. I returned to ask items to Gandhari and received the Etched Tunic with 19 AC, 30 HP, and 3 strength and wisdom. A much needed upgrade over my newbie armor. And now to the helmet. I do not haggle, I do not bargain. The top side of the Rune of Ivy from the Castle Mistmore. A Cyclops Charm from Tarskook, and a Sapphire of Sky Blue. Bring these to me and you shall earn your reward. First I headed to Wraith Mountains, a known first area, entering for Lake. Right here, you can find placeholders for Tarskook. I killed the low-level Lizardman and Kodiaks and managed to make him appear pretty quickly. Tarskook is shorter than I expected, but still packs a punch. Its charm is only 75% chance to drop, but I got it on my first try, making this step a very quick one. The next step now will take us to the Castle Mistmore. Mistmore. This is really a dangerous place. It is crowded with enemies, arguably too many of them. And I was only after one of them, a Deathly Usher. It isn't a rare mob, but it is the only one that drops the next Rune of Ivy. And the real challenge is to find one that spawns by itself. I used the map on the BQDI to find the spawn point that was the most isolated one, and ended up in the same room where Rosman was during his stay in Mistmore. Which is good, because this means that he already solved the place for me. I can stay in the stairway where he's safe, and can camp at the spawn point of the top of the stairs, and even farm for 2 Mistmore granite that I'll be needing in the future. But even if staying in the stairway was safe, pulling the gargoyles still require my attention. Mobs still pass through the room from time to time, and I have to keep an eye open for when the mob at the top of the stairs would respawn. I got the 2 pieces of granite pretty fast, 4 pulls in total, leaving only the Rune of Ivy to be acquired still. The problem here was on the fact that the rune drops from the Deathly Usher only, at a rate of 14%, and through the whole zone, the Usher share their spawn points with all other enemies, with only a 15% of chance to be a Deathly Usher every 8 minutes. I really needed the stars to align here. I tried to expand my hunting grounds, but the mixture of living and undead creatures made it really dangerous to adventure deeper inside, especially taking consideration the fact that every time one dies, they can respawn as the opposite. Near the stairs, there were rooms with possible spawn points, but I couldn't break the camp because of line of sight issues. I tried to break the camp a couple of times with different degrees of failure. Yeah, don't be like me and forget to snare your enemies in a dungeon. In the end, I relegate myself to that single spot position and waited until luck was on my side. Funnily enough, it wasn't as bad as camping thistle underbrush. Because here I knew the rules, and I knew that with each kill I was approaching my target, even if slowly. And when the rune finally dropped, I was so happy. Returning the rune, the charm, and sapphire, Gandhari rewarded us with the I've Etched Helm, 12 AC and 5 Wisdom. This was the last piece she had to offer us, but the quest continues with leaf folding. Did you want some narrative with your quests? Leaf is here to provide us with some. When we inquire about the boots, he says that will give us a pet in exchange of a favor. He wants to test some newer tips and wants some of the hardest snow materials. He asks us for a bar of rhonium, a sample of Mishmore granite, and a donation of 2,000 gold pieces that will go to the guild. Well, I guess some background is better than no background. We already have the granite with us, and the 2,000 gold I have on the bank. For the rhonium, we will have to travel to the temple of Solusek Row in the Lava Storm Mountains. It is inside the temple that we find the dwarf Lord Searfire. He's friendly toward us and expresses his devotion to Solusek Row, which makes me question why the player can choose whatever deity he wants. Why can't we be a dwarf paladin of Solusek? He also tells us that he sometimes leaves his post here to serve Solusek in other planes. For now, we do not have enough reputation with the temple to be private of how the bar of Rhonion is made, and we are going to fix it by heading to the southern desert of Ro and partaking some gacha gaming with Ratmana Alin. This erudite hermit may sell some supplies to the weary travelers, but we are here because he is fond of some gambling. For a small sum, he'll let us reach inside his bag and pull a scroll from it. Most of the time the scroll will be trash, but sometimes it might be an actual spell scroll. But one thing you get every time is 5 points with the Solusek Row faction. Humans start with 50 points within the faction, and 300 gold later, I expect to already be more than amiable to them. But Lord Searfire still was indifferent, and he now didn't even answer to my hails. Luckily, I checked on a random keeper of the temple and saw that he was amiable to me. I guess that when he said that he visited other planes, Searfire meant it in an astral projection way, while he leaves his catatonic body behind. But soon after, Searfire was back and gave us a cauldron with instructions on how to forge a bar of Rhonion. A melatite, 2 enchanted platinum bars, 1 Mishmore granite, 1 portion of Sands of Ro, and 1 soil of Underfoot. Combine all inside the soul cauldron, and we will create the alloy. The granite we already have, so 1 item down. The melatite we get from Solusek Eye, but instead of going for the goblins, we go for the clockwork gnomes in there. I didn't need to venture too deep. Closer from where I was camping the goblins earlier, there is a small room with a single clockwork gnome that spawned there. And it is always one that can drop the melatite. It is a dead camp, but you have to be careful with a goblin that also spawned in this room, or the name Drake Singe. Other than that, it is pretty easy. Next, I went to Freeport to get 2 platinum bars. At 236 plat, these quests are starting to really put a dent on my bank. After getting them enchanted by the local guildmaster, I headed south to hunt for some sun giants. The giants can appear in any of the 3 desert zones, but it is in southern desert of Ro that you find the most. Here, I killed literally everything that moved, because everything is a placeholder. And the giants start to appear pretty fast. They do hit like a truck, but they are excellent kiting targets for me to fish up for some archery skill-ups. After downing a couple of giants, I got my hands on some sand of Ro. Things were going well so far. Only one item remained, the soil of underfoot. For it we traveled to the dwarven homeland and the city of Kaladin. Deep inside the bowels of the mountain home lies the temple of the clerics of Brel Serilis and the priestess Galia, who is capable of consecrating normal dirt into soil of underfoot. Well, she can if your faction with the clerics is above kindly anyway. Oh well, fine. I will grind your reputation. At least she points us to the bone chip quests. And 200 bone chips later, she agreed to help us in exchange for 4 portions of fairy dust. I returned to Lesser Fedor, where one can find a greater concentration of fairies, and grind for the necessary items. I confess that I feel bad have to kill the fairies. I know that it might sound silly, but still, I'm a ranger. I'm supposed to be protecting the woodland creatures. And with a drop rate of 25%, I had to kill a lot of fairies to get the 4 items. I returned to the priestess with the fairy dust, and we get the last reagent for the Ronion. Combining everything in the cauldron creates 1 bar of the alloy. We return now to Kitty Core Forest and hand over the metal, the granite and 200 gold to Leaf Folding and get our Etched Boots, 10 AC and 5 stamina. It is an excellent upgrade over my newbie boots. Also, I would like to note that the text of the quest looks to be wrong, because upon completion I was returned 100 plat, or 1000 gold. On PQDI it also says that folding only requires 1000 gold to complete the quests. Anyway, next, the leggings. For the leg piece, Leaf wants us to fetch him the quiver of Kitty Core in Califin. Apparently, it went missing and the Wood Elves gods found it. Of course, he also wants us to spend some money and buy a gem called the Star of Odus in Eredin, as he wants to add it to the quiver. Traveling to Califin, we find the ranger's contact, Lieutenant Leafstalker. And look at that, they lost the quiver and the arrows that were inside. During the night, brownies, yes, those little humanoid creatures, stole all the arrows, and while the guards are after them, a thief named Wilton Windwalker stole the quiver itself. And now, we'll be the ones doing the dirty work of recovering everything. Asking for more information, we learn that Wilton went to join the Ocean of Tears pirates. A boat journey later and we make to the Sisters Island, and from there we swim to an island filled with cyclopses and a small encampment of maroon pirates. It is in this camp that Wilton shares a spawn point with a generic buccaneer. 80% chance that the buccaneer will appear, against 20 that will be Wilton. Nothing out of the ordinary until you read that they are on a 50 minutes timer. That's right, 50. Every 50 minutes you have a 20% chance that will be Wilton. If not, you'll be back to waiting. The island too is not very safe. The pirates themselves aren't very high level, but the cyclops that roam around definitely are a real danger, and safe spots are few. When I first came, the spawn point was down, so someone must have killed Wilton recently. So I had to wait for some indeterminate amount of time until I had a shot at him. Thankfully, he appeared on the first try, and he always drops the quiver. Next, we return to Lesser Feydark to hunt the Brownies outcast that stole the arrows. Their placeholder are the pixie tricksters that inhabit the tower in the northwest corner of the zone, but only 2 of them, so I recommend leaving the pixie jongleur that appears alone. The Brownies are around level 30 and have druid spells, so be careful. They have only a 20% chance to spawn, and they always drop 1 of the arrows. But that is 6 different arrows, all with the same chance to drop, and you will probably get some repeated ones before getting all of them. Not to challenge, it's just a matter of patience. The worst part was Thistle Underbrush that came by twice to mock me with his existence. After getting all the arrows, it was time to head to Eredin. There, all we have to do is to buy the Star of Vodos for 133 plat. With everything we need, we can return to Leaf Holding and hand over the items to him. And our reward is the Etched Leggings with 12 AC and 5 agility. An excellent upgrade over my non-magical Dismac leggings. For the gloves, we receive a little background story. A story of a ranger called Maldin Greenburn, now known as Maldin the Unkempt. A ranger so skilled in hunting that he only saw the animals of the forest as moving targets for his training, and they expelled him from the Rangers Guild for it. I just hope that they never find my YouTube channel, or I'm going to be expelled too. Maldin took with him the bow of the Kitcore, and Leaf would like to have it back. Maldin can be found wandering the Wraith Mountains, and can be easily dispatched, but he only drops 1/2 of the bow. The second half is in Lower Guk with the Froglock Slathy the Slayer. Now I have to confess that I started the glove quest without knowing if I would even finish it. I totally think that is possible, but the question is it worth it? Made my way towards Leif Spa thinking about that. The Etched Gauntlets are not an upgrade for me, and with the Froglock being on the ground, I can't really cast Harmony on the odds around it. The plan would be to bring him to the zone line, root him there, zone out to drop the aggro, and come back in to kill him by himself. Easier said than done, but I still have to walk past a lot of enemies, and my faction would be ruined, which matters when leaving the zone. But with the price for failure being so high, I opt out from going after the second part of the bow. Slathy wasn't even up, just a placeholder, and would be a pain try to keep doing this until the right Froglock appeared. Feel free to leave a comment if you think I should try it anyway, but I don't think any of us are missing too much by skipping this one. Especially after me doing the whole journey to here. It is the negative of having such a punitive death system. Sometimes you don't want to risk it because the loss is just too costly. Oh man, what an adventure this quest was. I'm so glad that I did it. Yes, there were some lows, but it had much more highs. The fight with Meldrath is something that I'm going to remember, as well as exploring Miskmore. The place really feels dangerous, and walking around constantly fearing that my camouflage would run off earlier sure kept me on my toes. During the making of this video, I also made to level 50. I was fear-kiting animals in the Eastern Oasis. And with that, I reached the classic level cap and entered the final stretch. It's only 10 levels left. It's going to be fast, right?